Hello and welcome to Untwisted Threads. This is knitting for Olive Merino. This 100% merino wool yarn features 87 colors. The colorway that we chose is camel. This 50-gram skein with 250 meters or 237 yards works up as a fingering weight yarn. The suggested gauge on a 3mm needle is 28 stitches and 38 rows per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For our swatch, I will be using a 3.5mm needle size. In today's video, we're going to review and score knitting for Olive Merino using our 5 categories, which are availability, softness, traction, durability, and cost, to help you decide if this is the best yarn for you and your next project. Stay tuned until the end for a few pattern recommendations as well. Would you like to see how all of our yarns compare to one another or enter to win our monthly giveaway? Join our free newsletter linked in the description box below. Let's get started. For availability, we give Knitting for Olive Merino a score of 3.5 out of 5. Knitting for Olive originates in Copenhagen, Denmark, and typically when a yarn brand is European-based, it's not always very common here in the States. Although this yarn isn't available on any major craft websites here in the US or even the UK that we know of, there are quite a few purchasing options from other craft shops, including La Mercerie and now Wool & Company. I imagine in Europe this yarn is probably at quite a few, if not all, of your local yarn shops. For softness, we give it a score of 3.9 out of 5. We have gotten so many comments since we reviewed the heavy merino version of this yarn to review this fingering weight version as it is softer. So we're not going to keep you waiting any longer with our thoughts. Yes, this merino is in fact softer in our opinion than the other, but it just doesn't have that bouncy and soft quality that I love and can typically expect from a merino yarn. It's not as stiff as, say, a cotton yarn, but honestly, I think I preferred working with their cotton merino yarn more than this one. For comparison, it is softer than Cascade Yarn's 220 and not quite as soft as Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. I'd say it's pretty comparable to Sandnes Garn Zizou. For a micron count or softness scale rating, we'd give it around a 21 or even a 22 micron count after blocking, as it did get a little bit softer then. But if we're being completely honest, there was just enough dryness from the skein that I think that over time it could irritate my sensitive skin. But the appearance of the yarn was really beautiful and cohesive. Knitting for Olive does a great job with that. When it comes to the fiber content, similar to other wools, merino yarn is a highly sought after fiber for clothing companies because it features characteristics like being odor resistant, breathable, hypoallergenic, wrinkle resistant, and antimicrobial. For traction, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. A lot of times traction is based on how soft or irritating a yarn is for my sensitive skin. Because this yarn was lacking in a lot of bounce and softness, it just wasn't as enjoyable to work with. It was a little stiff, something I would expect from a cotton, but not really from a wool yarn. On the needles, it did glide fairly well and not a lot of drag. It was definitely my skin and its irritation limit that would slow me down from being able to work with this yarn for long periods of time. For durability, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. Because merino wool fibers are more fine, it is a little bit delicate on its own. However, the higher twist of this yarn definitely adds some strength, allowing it to withstand greater tension and stress. However, because it's not superwash treated, it is feltable. Simply put, this means that you should be cautious with washing and choosing a project for this yarn, as places like your underarms could experience the yarn to felt together when you wear it. You could also add another yarn in addition to this one, like a mohair, to prevent it from felting. When it came to the stress test, there was a small amount of pilling fabric to fabric, and even more so feeling it with my hands. Now, I absolutely believe that if this yarn was softer, then it would have pilled far more than it did, as is the nature of softer yarns. So this could have been a strategic decision for Knitting for Olive, making this yarn just soft enough that it wouldn't pill like crazy. For cost, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. For being a 50-gram skein, you can expect to pay $10 US per skein. That breaks down to about 3 cents per yard, meaning a size medium sweater would cost approximately $60. Overall, we give Knitting for Olive Merino a score of 3.88 out of 5. I wasn't blown away with this yarn, but I do agree with you that it absolutely feels softer than the heavy merino version. Would I use this yarn again? Maybe if I'm looking for a specific color, because their color range is impeccable, but I think I'd rather something a little bit softer and more enjoyable to work with. So we had a little look on Ravelry and wanted to share a few pattern recommendations with you, hopefully to inspire you if you're wanting to use this yarn for a project of your own. The first pattern is Erebus by Caledonia Dreamin. It comes in 8 sizes with measurements to fit up to a 71-inch bust. It is worked seamlessly from the top down, including the cap sleeves. The sleeves are put on hold after the underarm separation, and the body is knit down in the round. It is a vintage-inspired sweater featuring puff sleeves, a fitted waist, and a simple yet discreet lace pattern. The next pattern is Fall Frolic by Samantha Guerin. It comes in 9 sizes with finished bust measurements ranging from 32 to 64 inches and recommends 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. It is knit seamlessly from the top down. The yoke is cast on and short rows are worked to raise the back of the neck for a comfortable fit. The textured colorwork section on the yoke is knit, and then the body and sleeves are separated and worked from the top down. Lastly, the collar is picked up and knit. I think this would be a great pattern if you have that one skein of hand-dyed fingering weight yarn to use for the colorwork section. The last pattern is the Soft Loop Sweater by Other Loops. It comes in 3 sizes with finished bust measurements ranging from 47 to 57 inches and recommends 10 to 16 centimeters of positive ease. It is worked from the top down. First, the turtleneck and upper part of the yoke are worked in the round with shoulder increases. Then the work is divided for the front and back, which are worked flat before joining again for the body. The body and sleeves are worked in the round. It features a striped structure made with knit and purl stitches according to a simple chart, which is repeated throughout the sweater. Have you used Knitting for Olive Merino yarn before? What yarn would you like for us to do a review on next? We would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's review, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.